So you're wondering if you have imposter syndrome, huh? Maybe you saw my last video, which is what is imposter syndrome, part 1 of this 3-part series. I am super curious to know what makes you think you might have imposter syndrome. We're going to cue that intro and then dive on into 9 signs that you might have imposter syndrome. Let's get going. Hey guys, my name is Rachel Peterson. I'm so excited to have you here today, especially because these 9 signs that you might have imposter syndrome are going to help you to understand a lot about your current paradigm, aka your world, and why you are interacting with it the way that you are. And make sure you stay until the end because I put together 27 strategies that are incredibly powerful, actionable for beating imposter syndrome. So make sure you stay and get that because I know you're gonna enjoy it. Totally free too. Number 1, dwelling on the past. Now this is super important because a lot of people beat themselves up. They think like, oh, if I made this mistake in the past, I must be making this mistake still not today, or I'm going to make that mistake again. But the truth is, just like a baby falls a whole bunch when they're trying to stand up or trying to walk or whatever it is, you may have made mistakes in your past. That doesn't necessarily indicate that's who you're going to be in the future. But if you keep focusing on the habits of the past, that is a surefire sign that you're going to repeat the patterns of the past. And that is sign number 1 that you might have imposter syndrome. Number 2 sign that you might have imposter syndrome. Feeling like you're a fraud, like you're pretending to know what you're doing at work. I will say that this is somewhat dual in nature. It's a little bit of a paradox because to some extent, if you realize that you don't know something at your job, the natural reaction is to just learn it and start doing whatever that is. But if you actually do know it and you just feel like an imposter all the time, that's a really good sign that you might actually have just imposter syndrome and feeling like you're just pretending to be an adult while everyone else is actually an adult. This is sign number 3 that you might have imposter syndrome. Lack of self-confidence in your position. Now I'm going to share an example of this. When I had my first daughter, Dakota, I was 21 years old. She's 10 now. And I remember when the doctor said I could leave the hospital. And I looked at the doctor and I said, doesn't she need like water or something? And I was super freaked out about what steps came next. It was very intimidating to me. And I remember going home with this new baby and feeling like holding a baby was so foreign for me. It wasn't a comfortable concept. It wasn't something I was used to. It felt like just a whole different person's experience. And then when it was time for her to not cry, I would be like, sweetie, sweetie. And I just felt like this person that didn't understand what it was to be a mom. Now, fast forward a few years and I became a mom to Delilah, and a few years later I became a mom to Dominic, and by child number 3 I'm like, we've got this, let's go, I could do this in my sleep, come on people. So the truth is though, that imposter syndrome makes us think like someone else must have, some manual on this, or there has to be someone with a credential who is licensed to be the grown-up in this situation. There's never anything that happens that makes us feel like, okay, now I'm qualified to be a mom, now I'm qualified to be a wife, now I'm qualified to be a manager or a CEO. And so the truth is that lack of self-confidence is a really good indication you might be experiencing imposter syndrome. Number 4, doubts about your abilities and achievements. If you've ever felt like, oh my gosh, yes, I had some great achievements in the past, but maybe that was luck, or it was really easy, or I had a great team, there's a good chance that you are writing off your success and your talents because of imposter syndrome. Or if you're feeling like maybe your abilities aren't good enough, yet or you've been told that you have skills in those areas, once again, another sign, you might have imposter syndrome. Number 5, negative self-talk. If you have a narrative that tells you like you're not good enough, everyone knows that you're not talented, your voice isn't clear enough to be a leader, like those thoughts in your head are oftentimes a serious indicator of imposter syndrome, because that imposter syndrome wants you to play small. It wants you to stay safe. It doesn't want you to continue to grow in that journey of the learning curve theory. Number 6, constant comparison to other people. Before we even talk about how this is related to imposter syndrome, I have to say, if you catch yourself constantly comparing to other people, I've been through this and I know so many other people who have been through this. The truth is, you guys, like, comparison is something that you will always lose at. If I look at other people, there's always someone with a way bigger YouTube channel. There's always someone who's growing faster on TikTok. There's always someone whose business is more successful, someone who's a more natural mom. She's prettier, she's taller, she's more athletic, whatever. I can't win. And so the truth is, comparison is a surefire way to lose. When you catch your brain attempting to put you back into those habits of comparison, recognize that maybe that's not who you are, but that could be imposter syndrome trying to creep in and take over the show and keep you safe. Number 7, anxiety. I'm not going to go too deep into this because I'm not a psychologist and I recommend talking to therapists and counselors about anxiety, but anxiety can be a sign of imposter syndrome. Number 8, self-doubt. If you are constantly doubting everything that you create, put out there, the way that you show up, that's a good sign that you are dealing with imposter syndrome. And number 9, distrust in your own intuition. I have to say, okay, little tangent. If you are not trusting your gut and you're trusting someone else just because of their credentials or their experiences or their age or their seniority over your own gut feeling about something not being right, that's a sign you have imposter syndrome, but also your gut is so important as a mom, as a coworker, as a boss, as a business owner, as fill in the blank wherever you want. But gut feelings are so important. And imposter syndrome tells us we're not qualified to have gut feelings, and so we should just listen to whatever the boss says, the person who's qualified to make those decisions. Now, I want to know, do you have any of these signs of imposter syndrome? Feel free to comment below and let me know which ones sound familiar for you. Oh, and by the way, check out in the comments beneath this video, I put together 27 strategies for beating imposter syndrome. I know you're gonna love it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I will catch you guys later, especially in part 3 of this imposter syndrome series. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everything that you show up with, the